Welcome back, everyone. You know I love digging into new tech, and AI has been buzzing. So today we're doing a deep dive into AI in localization. And what better place to start than with this Argos multilingual report you sent over, hot off the press for 2024, all about how AI is really changing the game for language pros.
Yeah, and this isn't just hype. This report cuts right through all the noise. It's based on interviews with 8 veteran localization managers from some really big global companies.
Okay, so we're talking big players here. Who are these managers? What industries are we looking at?
Think software, hardware, even the tourism industry. These are folks dealing with dozens of languages, millions of customers. They're the real deal, facing some serious real-world challenges.
Okay, so big players, real-world challenges, color me intrigued. What's the main takeaway here?
Yeah.
For someone like me, I'm eager to see how this AI thing actually works, on the ground.
Well, what's fascinating is that we're at a turning point. 2023 was all about experimenting with AI, dipping our toes in the water. Now in 2024, it's about making AI work or figuring out why it's not T. And these localization managers, they're the ones on the front lines of this whole shift.
So they're not just talking theory here. They're actually implementing this stuff. What are they seeing? Where are they even starting?
A lot of them are tackling what I like to call low-hanging fruit first.
Low-hanging fruit. What do you mean by that?
Those tedious tasks that nobody loves but are essential to localization. Think things like running quality checks on thousands of words or prepping content for translation, all that stuff.
Okay, yeah, I can see how automating that would be a huge EE time saver.
Exactly. Imagine, using a tool like, let's say, QA Checkmate. A few clicks and it analyzes thousands of words in just seconds, flagging inconsistencies, errors, poof, done. That's what some of these managers are doing right now, and it frees up their teams for more strategic work.
So instead of, fearing AI as a job stealer, think of it as your new assistant, freeing you up to focus on the more strategic, creative, the FUN parts of localization. I love that.
Uh-huh.
But are they just focused on these small wins, or are they thinking bigger picture?
That's where it gets really interesting. They're starting small, but they're definitely thinking big. The report talks about how managers are already mapping out the future, asking questions like, could AI one day handle entire localization workflows? Things like that. Or what about those low resource languages?
Low resource languages, what does that mean?
These are languages with less digital data available, which can be trickier for AI to work with.
Ah, that makes sense. So it's almost like they're learning to walk before they run a marathon, but that marathon is definitely on their minds.
Exactly. And speaking of marathons, one thing this report really highlights is just how crucial productivity is in all this.
Oh, I bet time is money, right?
Absolutely. If you want to get the attention of those higher-ups, productivity is your magic word. AI is being seen as a way to do more with less music to any manager's ears, right?
Totally. And for anyone listening who might be a little worried about AI coming for their job, it sounds like, at least for now, it's more about making teams more efficient, not replacing them.
Right. It's about letting AI handle those repetitive tasks that no one wants to do anyway, so humans can focus on, the creative, strategic, the more nuanced aspects of language, the things AI just can't handle yet, at least not reliably.
And this leads perfectly into another fascinating point. The report brings up AI's potential to unlock more languages than ever before.
Mm.
We've all seen it content that just never gets translated because of budget constraints. Could AI be the key to breaking down those barriers?
It's a really exciting prospect, especially for those low resource languages we were just talking about.
Uh-huh.
Imagine a more inclusive internet where more people can access information in their native language.
Wow.
The report actually gave a really cool example. Canva, the design platform, is already using AI to expand its language reach.
Wow. So we could be looking at a future where language is no longer a barrier to accessing information online. That's incredible.
It's a powerful idea. And think about what that could mean for businesses, too. Reaching new markets, connecting with more customers on a personal level. It's not just about efficiency anymore. It's about, expanding our horizons in a really big way.
I'm getting serious like Star Trek Universal Translator vibes over here. But even with all this potential, the report acknowledges that even the experts are a bit uncertain about AI's long-term role in localization.
Right. It's like the technology's evolving so rapidly, it's almost like trying to hit a moving target. What works today might be obsolete tomorrow.
So how do you even begin to prepare for that? It must feel kind of overwhelming for localization managers trying to navigate this whole new landscape.
The report really emphasizes the importance of hands-on experience. Like, you don't need the perfect AI tool right out of the gate. You need to be willing to dive in, experiment, and learn by doing. That's where the real insights are going to come from, you
It's
know?
like the Wild West out there with every company figuring out AI in their own way.
Exactly. And that can be frustrating if you're, eager to jump in. The report found that some companies, especially ones that are already really into AI, are going all in. They've got dedicated teams, big budgets, the whole shebang. But others are taking a more cautious approach, like dipping their toes in the water before they dive headfirst.
So where does that leave someone working in a company that's not exactly tech first? Are they just out of luck?
Not at all. The report actually suggests that being in a smaller company can sometimes be an advantage.
Really? How so?
Yeah.
I would have thought it would be the opposite.
Well, in a smaller company, you often have more flexibility, fewer layers of bureaucracy to navigate. You might even have more direct access to decision makers, which can be really crucial when you're trying to champion a new technology like AI.
So it's less about the size of the company and more about the agility, the willingness to experiment and adapt. It's about fostering that, entrepreneurial spirit no matter where you are.
Exactly. It's about identifying opportunities and advocating for change. And that takes us to another important point from the report. Even with the best intentions, resources, and know-how can vary greatly when it comes to AI.
Makes sense. It takes money to make money,
Yeah.
as they say. Companies already using AI in their products probably have a massive head start.
They do. They have the data, the expertise, the budget to really push the boundaries. But that doesn't mean the rest of us are out of the game.
So where do you even begin if you're feeling behind the curve?
The report highlighted a few key things. First, don't be afraid to get your hands dirty. There are tons of AI tools out there, many with free trials or, freemium models. Experiment with them. The more you use them, the better you'll understand their strengths and limitations. And you'll start to get a feel for what works for you and what doesn't.
It's about getting comfortable with that, messiness we talked about earlier. It's not about finding the perfect tool. It's about learning as you go.
Absolutely. And speaking of learning, never stop. There are countless online courses, industry events, webinars, even just talking to colleagues who are experimenting with AI can be incredibly valuable. Embrace that lifelong learner mentality.
For that old saying, it takes a village.
Hmm.
Or in this case, maybe it takes a network of language pros all figuring out this AI thing together.
Exactly. And don't underestimate the power of just asking for help. There are people out there who've been working with AI in localization for a while now. Connect with them, pick their brains, learn from their experiences. You don't have to reinvent the wheel.
Love that. Collaboration over competition, especially when we're all kind of navigating uncharted territory here. But let's get real for a second. The report doesn't shy away from some of the challenges AI brings to the table, right?
Oh, absolutely. And I think this is something a lot of listeners can relate to. AI promises to revolutionize things, but it also adds like a whole other layer of tasks to an already full plate.
Right. It's like, hey, here's this amazing new tool that's supposed to make your life easier. Oh, and by the way, you need to learn how to use it, advocate for its implementation, and figure out how to integrate it into your existing workflows. Have fun.
Yeah. It's a bit of a paradox, right? AI is supposed to make us more efficient, but in the short term at least, it can feel like more work.
Which makes total sense when you think about it. You're learning new tools, troubleshooting issues, explaining things to colleagues who might be resistant to change. It's a lot to handle, and the report seems to acknowledge that.
It does, and it really emphasizes the importance of embracing imperfection. Like, AI is still in its early stages. It's going to make mistakes. It's going to require constant tweaking, refining, and we just need to be okay with that.
Easier said than done for some people, though, right?
Mhm.
Especially in a field like localization, where precision, accuracy, that's like the whole game.
Absolutely. But as the report points out, if we wait for the perfect AI to come along, we might be waiting forever. The real opportunity here is in experimenting now, learning from our mistakes and adapting as the technology evolves.
It's about being comfortable with a little bit of uncertainty and, embracing that growth mindset.
Exactly. And that kind of brings us back to like that fundamental question this whole report poses.
Mm.
Will AI simply like augment our existing localization workflows, or will it completely revolutionize how we approach global content?
The million-dollar question, and one that doesn't have a simple answer, I imagine. What are
Huh?
your thoughts?
I think the answer is probably both. In the short term, we'll likely see AI being used to streamline existing processes, like automate tasks, make us more efficient. But in the long term, it's really hard to say. Maybe it will lead to like a complete paradigm shift in how we think about translation and localization altogether.
It's definitely exciting to think about. I mean, it could fundamentally change how we connect with each other across cultures and languages.
Absolutely. And that's what makes this such a fascinating time to be working in localization. We're not just witnessing a technological revolution, we're shaping it.
So for anyone listening who's feeling maybe a little overwhelmed by all this, what's the one thing you hope they take away from this deep dive?
Embrace the journey. AI is here to stay. It's only going to become more integrated into our lives, our work. Don't be afraid to experiment, make mistakes, learn as you go. The future of localization is being written right now, and you have the opportunity to be a part of it.
I love that. What an inspiring thought to end on. So, there you have it, your crash course in the present and future of AI and localization. Hopefully you're feeling energized and ready to dive into this exciting new world. Until next time.